Video tutorial number 3, and we're going to turn our animated character that we created in the previous videos into a movie. So here is what we have as an animation from the previous videos. I'll hit play. This thing walks and then jumps off the edge of the grid. So right now, when we make this into a movie, what's not going to show is all these joints. They don't show up in your movie. And also the grid won't show up in your movie. So it'll be walking in the air, and we don't want that. So I'm going to create a sort of a plane, a table or whatever, where the grid is. So I'll hit my plane in my poly modeling right here, and it makes a little plane in the middle. And then I'll use my scale tool to scale it out, make it as wide as the grid, and then scale it out this way and make it about where the grid is. And so now it'll walk across that plane and jump off. Okay, so I'm going to go to my rendering menu. We did modeling, we did rigging, we had animation, and now we're going to go to rendering. So rendering will give you some new ones up here, including render. And there's your render settings as the first one for render. And another quick way of getting there is with these little icons right here that look like the little movie clackers. One with the gear will get you immediately to render settings. So it's the same way as going to the menu. So there's your render settings. So for my renderer, I'm just going to do Maya software because that's going to be really fast. The Arnold renderer is a great renderer. It's got really terrific shadows and everything, but it takes a long time to calculate all that. So Maya software is super fast. And the next thing we'll need to do is give your movie a name. I've called mine Walking. So give it a name. And right now the image format, I'm not sure what yours is going to show up as. I like to use JPEG. I think JPEG works really well because we have to bring this into some sort of a video editor. I think we're going to use QuickTime to assemble all these separate frames into a movie, because what it's going to do, it's going to render out a bunch of separate frames. 24 per second is what we'll need. So there'll all be little separate pictures that we have to assemble into a movie, and I'll make them JPEGs. So name of walking, JPEGs. And now for yours probably is going to default to this name single frame. We don't want a single frame. We want a whole bunch of frames. We want all 100 frames that we need for this movie. So we need to make it go to name number extension. Very important that you pick this and not anything else. It has to be name number extension. The extension has to be at the end. So it's going to be like, it's going to say walking 001.jpg, and then the next one's going to be walking 002.jpg, and that's your name, your number, and your extension. It has to be in that order, and if it's not, then your video editor won't be able to see them and won't be able to assemble them. So you have to hit name number extension. Okay, now we need to tell it where's your start frame, where's your end frame. I've already set mine. Yours might have been set to 111. We'll start at 1. I need 100 frames in order to see my movie, so I'll hit the number 100 and put it in there. Great. Start at frame 1, end at frame 100. Let's go down a little bit. Which camera? Perspective. That's the one that we've been using here in this window. This is our perspective view. Each view has a camera, the top view, the side view, the front view. Those are all separate cameras, and they're all here in the menu right here. We want perspective. That's what we want it to render from. What about size? Size of your movie. You have a little tiny pixely movie or a really big movie. I'm going to make mine, let's say HD 720. That's kind of a medium quality, a width of 1280 pixels by height of 720. You can go to full HD if you want, 1080, 1920 by 1080. It'll look really good. But just for speed right now, I'm just going to do the 720. You can also put any number in there you want, but if you're going to upload to YouTube or something like that, you want to use one of these presets so that you get the right ratio between the top number and the bottom number. Anyway, that's about it. All right. So we're all set for how to do your render settings. We made it Maya software. We gave it a name, told it to be a JPEG, name, number, extension. Put in our start and end frame, which camera, and then how big. Great. Done. Now we can check one frame and see what it's going to look like. And you can check one frame very quickly by clicking the second clacker right here, and that'll give you a quick render of a single frame. And there's what a single frame is going to look like. Okay, there we go. So there's one frame. And you can also check, let's say somewhere in the middle of your animation, and check another frame and see what that one's going to look like, just to kind of make sure things are going to go right when you tell this thing to render. So there's that frame. So the idea is it's going to make all 100 of these. And you do this by clicking on Render, Batch Render. And that will then make all your frames. Render, batch render. You do that, and you'll get a little feedback down here to let you know what's going on. So right now, nothing's happening. We're going to wait just a moment while Maya thinks about it and tries to organize itself. It says it's rendering with Maya software. If you use Arnold, it would say, you know, rendering with Arnold. And now it's going really fast. It's telling you each frame that it's rendering, and it's really, really moving quick over here. It's on frame 70 something, 80 something, 90 something, and done. That did it really quick. Great. So where did it put everything? Well, we can look right here in the render settings, and you'll see that the path is, I put mine on the desktop. It's where I put my folder that had all of my subfolders. Rig character, it put it in the images folder. Now, in order to assemble each one of those frames into a movie now, you can use something like Adobe Premiere, and that's great, especially if you want to add audio, add some sound later and things like this, or any other video editor. But to do this quickly, we're just going to use QuickTime. QuickTime's great. It's free. It's cross-platform, and so we'll use QuickTime to render the movie. To assemble it, rather, to assemble each frame into the movie. So now I'm in QuickTime, and I'm going to say File, Open, Image, Sequence, because it made a sequence of images. For QuickTime, I can direct it to that folder. And let's actually look in that folder really quick. Here's my rig characters folder, and sure enough, in images, you're going to find each JPEG that it made. Here's like number 21, looks like this. Here's 34, click on that one, and you can see, you know, these are the separate images. Okay, back to QuickTime. Open image sequence. And you have to select all of them to let it know that that's your sequence. So I'm going to select the first one and then shift click down to the last one and say choose media. Now I may as well make it actual size. Sounds good. 24 frames per second is what I wanted it to be, because that's how I made my animation. H.264 is great. And I hit OK. And it does some writing, and it turns it into a video. And we can play this video. There it is, all nice and rendered. And now all you have to do is export it as a movie, because right now it's still a sequence. It's just in QuickTime. So under QuickTime, you can say File, Export As, decide what size you want it to be. You probably want to keep the actual size that it was. In my case, I did it, I think I was just doing it at 480 just now. So I'll hit 480p, decide where I'm going to put it. Could just leave it there, give it a name. Walking, and I'll just say it's done. I can put it, leave it in my images folder, or I can put it anywhere else I might want. Hit save, and it will export it and save it, and you'll have your movie. And that's it.